Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, Big Mo, how are you? You already in there. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. How has your day been, or anybody that's coming in? How is it going? I've had a good morning, and looking forward to the weekend. That I won't do much. I'm gonna exercise. I got a fitness appointment in the morning, so I'm still trying to, as they say, keep it together as long as I can. But I am just looking forward to a restful weekend. I've had to pray for several friends this week that have had operations or other things going on that certainly says prayer is necessary. Um, who have you prayed for today? If you tune in here, I do believe that I couldn't do anything, nothing without God's assistance. So he even gives me every word I have to say. And so this morning, our word is rationalize. We sometimes don't even realize how much we rationalize for bad behavior, for use of the wrong language, for lying, for so many things. We rationalize why we do it. Um, and to me, sometimes there can be no rationalizing. It is what it is. It is what it is. And if it's bad, it's bad. And sometimes we think we've earned favor and friends because we do that, and personally, I try not to. I'm turning my phone off, thank you, because it was clicking. I try not to do that very often. I acknowledge people to have their own opinion. Good morning, happy Friday to you, Erica. I try to let people, certainly everyone is entitled to an opinion. And in the heated climate that we have going on, with it could be political, differences, or religious differences, or so many different things, just about what's going on in our schools or whatever, social media, all of those things give us opinions. And everyone, to me, is entitled to it. But when we get to the point where we feel that we can pull the curtain calls on other people, it's not necessary. It's to me overstepping boundaries. We all have boundaries if we would just acknowledge them. Not saying that my words or my argument should anyway override yours. It is what it is. You have yours, I have mine. That's important. So anyway, this poem I found this morning is called The Curtain Calls. Y'all put in a note there. Tell me how you're feeling this morning. Good, hopeful, prayerful, loving, showing kindness. What it is. Give me one word that you're showing this morning for yourself, or feeling this morning for yourself. Mine would say that I'm happy. I'm happy because the people that I have prayed for are doing better. And that's my happy. That is my happy. But I found a poem called Curtain Calls. It's really, really short. And it's by Gershon Wolf. Gershon Wolf. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, Adelia. I am truly blessed. Okay. So we have blessed. Somebody is peaceful. Oh, this is wonderful. Peaceful. Do we have another happy? I started off with the fact that I'm prayerful. So I am definitely peaceful. I'm blessed, and I'm happy. So far, those are the three that we've come up with. But anyway, this one is called Curtain Calls. Thankful. Come on, Gloria. Ain't we thankful? Still here. Still here. And we just had a birthday in May, so we are still here. And we were able to celebrate it with our mind right and our abilities of our limbs. We still on point. Thank you, Lord. But anyway, the curtain calls, it says rational actors, calm and cool, emotional thespians. It says rough cut jewels, Some uplifted our hearts, others appealed to our minds. Pyrotechnic sparkle and shine. Quickly it says, bam, 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 bam. You have people who rationalize things. You have others who are calm and cool, collected. Others who are emotional. They're thespians. They're on it. They're going to ride it out. It says rough cut jewels, rough cut jewels. It says some may uplift our hearts. It says while others appeal to only our minds. And they set us on fire as pyrotechnics sparkle and make us shine. That's how we look at life. We look at other people sometimes thinking that they will inspire us. And sometimes our aspirations are in other people. Remember, I talked about vicarious living on Wednesday. So here I am on Friday, grateful. Okay, grateful. I love that. Grateful, grateful, grateful. I love that song too. But anyway, when we move on to our word of the day, I ask you, do you occasionally get stuck in how you rationalize things? Are you a person who rationalizes everything, regardless of the fact that there's some flaws in it, the people are flawed that's delivering the message, there's no, I would say there's no grounding to it. It all seems to be elevated hypothesis or elevated wishes and desires. Let's face it, we're all human, so occasionally we fly away with the bird who decided that they were going to take us to their nest. We just do. So when we are rationalized, it says it's an attempt to explain or justify. Come on, y'all know what I'm talking about. One's own or another's behavior or attitude. There's many of us who have done that. It says we make it look like it's logical, that it's plausible, that it has reasons. And it says that these reasons are there, even if there's not any truth to it or they're appropriate. We still give them, okay, I'll give you a high five for that. Even though you know that, can you prove it? Where does it show it? How do we find out? And sometimes we are people who we fly without any, grounding. We fly, without any strings. We just say, yeah, that sounds good to me. Is it? Is it? And inspired. Okay, grateful and inspired. I got you. So when we look at the word, it says to rationalize is to justify something. It may or may not be true. Account for something, meaning that there's a true account in it or there is no account. Defend it, even though it's probably in some instances, it can't be defended. It can't be defended. It cannot. We explain it away. We make sure that other people, when we leave, they know that we believed in it. Okay. And then other people go and they look it up. They Google it and find out that's not true. I mean, how many of us have been given those theories that come, and they tell us, oh yeah, this is happening right now. People are losing this. They've gone someplace and they've disappeared. And then when you look up and it says that didn't happen. But a lot of times we listen to who we hear. We do not listen to ourselves. Even in the word, the Bible says that you should know it for yourself. We can't determine if what we're looking at or thinking or justifying is right unless we've either experienced it or we've looked it up and it's sound. Hello, everybody. Sure did miss you. Yes, we missed you too, Debbie. We knew that you were enjoying your family, though. We knew that. What's the word? The word of the day is rationalize. We rationalize. We just make it something that it's acceptable to us. Whatever it is that's been said, whatever it is that we see, we make sense of it, even though maybe we shouldn't. We shouldn't. So we break the word of rationalize down, and I know that's a lot of letters for me because I usually do anywhere from 5 to 7, but today is much longer. So we're going to start with our R. So today, my R is reason. Okay. I think when we're rationalizing something, we have to find out what makes sense to us and we reason with it. Okay, we give it a basis or a cause. As for something that we either believe, there's action to it, there's some factual base to it, it's an event that occurred or one that we're thinking should have occurred. And it says that when we break it down even further, we're looking at, is it logical? Sometimes we don't even ask, is it real? Oh, that's good. And reasonable. Yes. Yeah. Reasonable, real. Does it have a sense of meaning? Can we argue for it? How many things have you tried and you listen to the other person's argument and then you never look it up as an argument? Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you doing, my friend? Today's word is rationalize, and we do it all. I don't care how old we are, even when we were children. If we thought something was right, we gave our parents some kind of excuse, and they looking at us like, that's not true. That's not true. I used to always say, my brother Tommy did it. Most of the time he did do it, but sometimes he didn't. Okay, I rationalized it that it wasn't going to be me. Okay, even as a 5 or 6 year old, wasn't going to be me. So when we reason with something, we have intention, we've set a goal. The goal is that we want ourselves and others to believe what we believe. Okay, it also says it is an incentive. What's in it for us? We have to ask ourselves, a lot of times, reputation, money, it could be, high esteem. We're looking at where will we be if we don't convince all these people that they need to believe what we believe. That's why this training that I do every time I come on here is, are you stuck? I'm telling you my story, but I'm asking you, what do you think? How would you buy into it? It says, reel the folks in. That, oh, come on now. Just like you out there fishing. That's right. It also says when you have reason, there's a motivation. There's a reason for you hyping up everybody. Yay, yay. We do it. We all do it. It also says there's a motive, and sometimes we can or may find proof that there's truth. Sometimes, not all the time. Good morning. Good morning, Maurice. How are you? Good to see you in the space. Today our word is, you got responsible. Okay, so you already know the word is rationalize, responsible. Some of us aren't responsible when we're thinking about what we're trying to make others believe about what we're saying. We'll hype up a story. We'll make it like, oh, you didn't hear this? My A, when I move on in the word, is for argument. Okay. Now, how many have you had that are friends, or even they're not friends, but you listen to them and they give you an argument that is so convincing, or there's just the opposite. They're not convincing you and you want to argue with them. That's acknowledge in action. Those are really good. Because we do want because they are looking for action. They're looking to hype you up and get you into the stream that they're in. So that's good. And then also looking at how you apply it and how you can be admonished. Those are all good. Wonderful, wonderful. Come on now, Debbie. Attention. Most of the time, when we see a stop sign, we stop. That's to get our attention. But those who've decided that what they believe in, they must, pillar through, they're going to do it. They're not going to worry about that stop sign. They're still going to drive. So when we have an argument, it says it's a reason or reason to give in with an aim of persuading others that an action or an idea is right or wrong. Right or wrong. Because we can convince in either way. We can do it, hey, look, did you hear? That you can make $1 million just by starting off with putting away $100, every pay period, and never touching it from the time you're 25 till you reach maturity and retire at 62. Well, I didn't believe it, but there's truth to it. Had I done that, but of course, being young and unstable, you don't make money like that, where $100 became basically almost your whole paycheck. So, you couldn't live, and then you couldn't live now hoping that you're going to live in the future. So it didn't work in that respect because I didn't have the extra $100 or the money that would allow me to use some and save some, but you can look it up. They said that there's truth to it. So the argument also talks about the reasoning, the logic, the defense, the justification. I feel this is this way. We do. And sometimes we're giving a plea. Oh, please look at this concept. It's really good. It has great, indication that you're going to do well doing this. Sometimes it does. Then it also has vindication, where we're trying to get people in a better light, where they're vindicated. Arrangement. No, that's good, Debbie. Attention and arrangement. Yes. And then it talks about evidence. What evidence do we have? Sometimes we don't have evidence. We just have a feeling. And the feeling kind of takes over, where evidence could probably fill it up a little bit more in terms of assisting with other people believing it. And then the argument also talks about what grounds are we working on? What is the assertion that's coming out? What's the declaration? What's the claim? What is it? Is it contentious? Is it believable? Or do we contend whatever they're saying? And then it says, is it a demonstration, or, is it exportation? We have to look at what is it that we're listening to from others, or what are we spewing out? What are we giving out to others, which makes them question what we're doing? That, to me, there's always a me and there's always a you. So we each have our own sayings. We each have our own way of dealing with life. So that's why I'm always looking at, what do you think? What is your way, your approach to how you live your life? My T, as I move on in my word of rationalize, is think. How do you think? It says, and of course, thinking is to have a conscious mind, to some extent of reasoning, remembering experiences, and making rational decisions. That's a mouthful. A mouthful. How do we think? Techniques. Oh, that's good, Joan. And then also, Debbie says, train. Who's on the train? I get it. I love it. But when we're thinking about something, it says we are therefore making some assumptions. Transparent. Oh, that's good. How many of us are that transparent? Tolerance. Good morning, Cheryl. We do have to tolerate other people, because sometimes, have you ever met people that every word out of their mouth is a lie except hello? And then hello may be not even genuinely given, but it's still a hello. Okay. Triggers. Ooh, tolerance and triggers. Wow. Transparent, all of those. And so when we think, we there's an assumption that goes on, there's expectation, there's consideration, some of us. There's a feeling, emoting inside us. Sometimes we're just guessing. I don't know if they're lying or not. Sound like a lie to me. I don't know if they're telling the truth, but it sounds truthful to me. Because a lot of times people meet us at our feelings, and then we go out. So we have to determine, what are we dealing with? Are we dealing with the feelings? Are we dealing with the truth? Or are we just floating in any way that they can take us? That funny. Yes. Hey, good morning, Mr. Eddie. How are you? Tell Miss Gwen hello. Oh, ooh. Tempers. Ooh, yes. Because tempers fly, do they not? When you disagree with somebody who's absolutely dead on what they believe, child, you might as well step back. That's why when I think about who I am, I'm not an arguer. I don't want to argue with you. I let whatever truth that can be found surface. You can find it yourself if you don't want it from me. That's okay. Okay, so temperament. Carney said morning too. Morning, Carney. See, I got two with that one. I got two for one. Okay. And then also being transparent. How many of us are that transparent? If we tell the truth and then we can tell them they can look it up, then we feel that we are transparent. Good morning. Hey, beautiful auntie from David and Rhonda. Hey, you guys, I got another twofer right there. Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you so much, David, my nephew-in-law to be. But good morning. But when we think, we're using our minds to make decisions, but where it says, but we're also using our minds to judge. Come on now. When you hear something from somebody, you said, that is a lie if I ever heard one. We just tell it. We tell the truth. Okay. And then we determine if it's right for us or it's only right for somebody else. You can, in fact, sometimes I've gone away and said, you know what? I'm going to let them have that right there. It's not mine. I don't own it. I don't own that. And then finally, when we think, we also see. When we think, we're either going to see what we need to see or we're going to see what we shouldn't see, but we're going to see. And if we're really engaged, we may even look it up to see more. If we're done with it and we just make it where it's just kind of like, whew, glad that conversation's over and I got through it. There you go. Oh my goodness. Marie said straight, no chase. Okay. I agree. Sometimes you got to go straight, no chase. You're just going, I heard it. I'm done with it. I'm going to move on. Okay. I'm going to move on. My I, when I move on and rationalize, is impetus. And the impetus is a moving force, impulse, stimulus. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, if you've ever seen somebody that believes in what they believe, it is a force coming at you straight on. They're there. They can argue it. They will fight about it. They will cuss you about it. Okay. They will throw things at you about it. Okay. If you find something that is in full effect, full force, and they're in their own impetus, it says that means they realize that there's a catalyst to it. It's impulsive. It's a momentum, that they cannot stop. It's ongoing. And it says their incentive, you may not know, but they still have one. Their incentive may be that, I'm going to destroy everybody else's thoughts, or I'm going to give them another thought, or I'm going to argue. And I'm going to stay here until I convince them. Some of us cannot be convinced, whereas others were easily convinced, easily. Ill. I'm done with you. Impressive, ill, imagination. Ooh, that's good right there. That is good, because sometimes we don't even realize that imagination can increase or decrease someone's ability to tell a story accurately. Okay. And I always used to do, when I was a counselor and a teacher, where I'd start something at one end of the room and I said, I want you to send it all the way around. I want to see what it comes out at the end. Because you know what? We're all human. So we're going to add our own little twist to it. We're going to add a little shake up. We're going to add a little twist and a little curve. But all of a sudden, what we started with is totally different from what we end with. The subject changes and the characters change and the information just changes, only because we become, oh, Debbie, ignorant. We become enabling. We can't enable ourselves or others to tell the truth. Okay. We become almost debilitated. We just can't do it. We can't tell the story as it was told. We add something. But anyway, to be impetus, it says it's the catalyst, the impulse, the momentum, and the incentive. What's in it for them? What's in it for you? Initial. That's good. That is really good. I always look at what we have in terms of of how we live. And sometimes how we live is crazy because we listen to other people and we end up without our own opinion. We end up. Good morning, Michael. Daryl, how are you? Negative changes. Come on now. It will come. It will come. Impetus also says that it's a stimulant. When someone is after something, they're interested in convincing others. They could be so motivational, even if it's in the wrong direction. They can pull people with them. They have that magnet thing going on. My O, when I move on in our word of rationalize, is oraton. And an oraton is marked by fullness, strength, clarity of sound, roundness in their voice, and imposing. Okay? Let's talk about folks that you hear and they have a platform, even if it's just we talk about toast for breakfast. I want mine lightly buttered. Somebody else's don't. And I got to tell you something. When it comes to my breakfast, I'm any meal, okay? Any meal. If you ever eaten with me, I am fussy, okay? But a person that has this whole Orton outlook is that there's a pompousness to them. There's bombastic, behavior, and their speech is like letting you know who's in control because they're controlling the conversation they're having with you. They're waiting to hear you pop over to the side that they're on. So they're looking at who you are. They're looking at, oh, you guys got this observance, okay, to observe, to obtain, to be the object of what's going on. Oh my goodness, ordeal. Because sometimes after you talk with somebody, you come away worn out because they done really laid it on thick, heavy. And then they also have the obnoxious. Yes, sometimes people are obnoxious. And I believe that people who are pompous and bombastic or have that oraton controlling speech, they are obnoxious. That's just to me. Okay. It says that they have this thing of being vibrant, meaning that they are colorful in their description and their take on what it is they're telling you. You must listen. Listen to this right now. I've had a couple of people that sometimes I got to the point where I didn't believe what they said, but I was caught up in how they said stuff. I was like, wow, that's really interesting to say it that way. That's that attraction that somebody mentioned attention. People can get your attention. They can. Ocular. Oh, I love it. They only see their view only. Oh, that's good. Ocular is great. Ocular, visual. They see it as being right. They hear it in their head as being right. They deliver it to you as letting you know that it's right. Thank you, Erica. That is good. That is good. It also says that they're loud, and some of them are thunderous when they speak. Have you ever talked with somebody and they commanded attention and they controlled the room and they made sure they spoke loud enough so it wasn't just the people in ear distance close. It was ear distance in the next room practically because they're looking at garnering more people to hear what they have to say, to hear it. We move on in our word of rationalize. I have nature. I believe nature opposes. Yes, Cheryl, that's great because, a lot of times we do have people who oppose us. Ooh, come on now, narcissist. Oh my goodness. Necessary. Yes. Phew. Chill. I know too many like that. Absolutely, we do. We all do. So the nature says that the instincts of inherent tendencies, this is kind of like how they arrived at where you see them, regardless of what, and it comes up with experience, with childhood, with adulthood, with relationships, with education, motivation, and they present themselves to you as being sometimes a bit too much, sometimes nuts. I got it. Sometimes narcissistic, sometimes over the top, sometimes with a lot of extra language that is unnecessary. You know, I've had people talk to me and I'm saying, oh, wow. But the nature says it's the instincts of inherent tendencies directing their conduct. Sometimes people are, I'm going to take this, there's no C on my, in my information today, but a C would be a little cocky. It just comes up. But the nature is there is how we would describe them. You know, normalcy, thank you, Joan. They would be normal to some people. But for us, we may find them a little erratic, a little off key, a little boisterous, a little loud, a lot of littles, a lot, which makes it also says that their mood is different than ours. We see it. Their personality comes forth. You know, people don't realize that a lot of personalities that people display when they're older, those personalities were developed and inherent from when they were children. You know, and I know that I have a few. I'm just letting you know, I have a few. One of the things my mother used to say I always did was I'd always look at my hands. I still do that now. Don't know where I got it from. Okay, but I do. I always look at my hands. I don't like anything on them. You know, they don't touch my hands. In fact, I touched somebody, you know, a big wig in the city recently, and their hands were wet. Oh my God. It just bugged me so much. I couldn't wait to get in a situation where I was secretly, you know, looking for my my hand sanitizer. But that's just me. That's my personal my personal dislike. I like my hands a certain way, and my dislike is I don't like another way. Okay. Let's see, abrasive. Ooh, nasty. All right. Look, Mike's ahead. So anyway, when we do the nature, we also talk about the essence of a person, their quality, and the type of person that they are. If you find people that are angry, it may come out in their speech. If you find people that are happy, it may come out in how they treat you and others. That's just their persona. My argument is what I have for my A of rationalize. An argument means an exchange of diverging or opposite views, typically a heated one or an angry one. Okay. How many of you have met people that you find that they're looking for an argument? Well, I'll let you argue. I'm going to leave you that. I'm going to leave it to you. Authentic, abrasive, attention getters, yes. Awareness, you know, awkward, you know, let's face it. We find people like this all the time. You know, we don't know what to do with them. You know, we don't know what to do with personalities like that. But it says a person who enjoys an argument is a person who can quarrel easily. Quarrel with you. You know, could be that TV's on the wrong channel. All right. That's in your house. Could be that you work with somebody, you know, you use the coffee maker last in your office. You didn't clean it up. There's stuff on the counter. Some people look for the argument, you know, where I probably would say at one time, hey, look, we got to all clean up after ourselves. I would do it generalized, where somebody else says, every time Sandy come in here, she keep leaving down all the stuff in the sink and never cleaning up and going home at night. Okay, a lot of information in that. But a person who likes to argue, enjoys a disagreement, plain and simple. Assertive, that's really good. Assertive, yes. Assertive, all of those. They also like to squabble. They want to fight. Sometimes people want to physically fight with you over something that has no, you know, I would say no hunting the game. It's like, what? It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want to do is yours. You know, this is truly a must share. Thank you so much. I did it. You know, I love you so much. Thank you. because I research this stuff before I come with it. But it's not just the fact that I research the words. I research how the words can affect us, because we can take one word and broaden it into so much just by having that word. But it also gives us more words to use in our vocabulary assault, meaning we can come up with a conversation with anybody. That's what I'm always looking at. So the argument also talks about it being a difference of opinion. It could be that there's a feud going on. I always talk about the Hatfields and the McCoys. When I was coming up, they always talked about, we don't need no Hatfields and the McCoys, meaning they were just opposite sides. Okay, after a while, it no longer was that feuding families were going on like that, but with those two families, it's just that it goes on with many families, many co-workers, many church members. People are who they are, and some people are in for a good fight, plain and simple. Let's do it. It says, I have another word, and it says starts with an A and ends with, okay, we're done with you. I agree. I agree. The argument also gives it could be a debate. Because sometimes, now to me, debating is good when it's done in a controlled forum. Okay. But if it's done where everybody's cussing and throwing things and all that, then it's not good. And it's usually, a time thing, when, if you've ever watched The Debaters with Denzel Washington, that shows you what you should do and how you should learn to defend whatever it is that you believe in. And it says that also it's a discourse. When you're looking at an argument, it's a discourse between 2 or 3 or maybe even 5 different entities or more. It's like you got a view. Everybody has a view. So, you could certainly look at it differently. Move on in our word of rationalize. My L is for logic. Sometimes you have to ask yourself and looking at others, what's the logic in this? Where is it? And this is logic of or according to the rules of logic or formal argument. How do you get there? It is what it is. Leave. Sometimes we do have to leave. And I think I told everybody at the beginning of today's session is that when I'm done with something, bye. No more discussion necessary. We don't have to discuss it anymore. We're good. But the logic says that there's reasoning behind what we do, that we've given it great thought, and we're thinking about it. Straight thinking, meaning there's not anything going on in our head to make it where it comes out kind of weird. That there's a cerebral connection, that you're cognitively good. It's insightful, meaning that we're not just listening, thanks Joan, but we're also leaving people with a good idea of our language ability and our understanding of what they're saying, even if we don't agree. That's to me, that's a great exchange. It also talks about how intelligent it is. People don't realize that our language ties to our intelligence. That's when people end up with, maybe dementia or other, or Alzheimer's. They end up being able to only remember their past and not what is current. So anything's current sounds incoherent or disjointed, or, are you eating, are you doing, and they're in their now with only the ability to deal with their past. So we move on in our word of rationalize. We talk about what is the incentive? What are we involved in? Yes, Debbie, we do learn, and we do have limitations. That's good. That is really good. And we have to realize that we don't have the ability to answer all of what we hear. Sometimes what we hear is just that we're hearing it. That means that we don't have to adopt it. Doesn't have to be made a part of our future, but we heard it. And so we can reference that, yeah, I heard that. That's it. That's it. It doesn't mean that we have to be incited. So when we have incentive, which is my next word, So Debbie says ignoring. Okay, sometimes we do have to ignore stuff. The incentive, it says when we're having these, we're having these conversations with people who are doing them and not listening. It says it's a thing that motivates or encourages one to do something. They're already hyped up. Their incentive may be that one, they have an audience to hear it. Two, they have an opportunity to convince you. And three, that you may come over there with them. That would be an incentive. Okay, identity would be good. That's true, because a lot of times we identify with others. We identify with others. We like that. There's so many people that listen to what I would call, they're fans of so many people, Beyonce, Taylor Swift. And so these folks, even though their area of connection might have started in one area, it gets to gravitate to other areas. So then they begin to have a following of people who are motivated by what it is that they do and how they get it done. So the incentives are things that we are looking at, what could be an inducement to us, what motivates us into listening to others, our reasoning or not reasoning. What is the stimulant that we're getting? And many of us get a lot of stimulation from listening to others, inappropriate. That's right. Because sometimes I was listening to the Breakfast Club the other day, and I'm not going to lie, they make me laugh. Very, very funny folks. Charmaine the God, just interesting people, interesting in their take on things. And sometimes it's totally different from what I would think initially, but sometimes listening to people, you may hear their rationale and be able to say, yeah, that kind of makes sense to me now. The incentive is also the inducement, the motivation, the reason, the stimulant, the stimulus. It's also the incitement. We are incited by what we hear from others, regardless of what we say. We get our incitement from that. It also may prick our opportunity for being an impulsive one. And we all of a sudden we go to one of those resorts and we're given a tour, and they said, well, we'll give you this resort again for a week of your time. Just come, like a timeshare. We do it because we want another week. But all the time, as Debbie says, they're roping you in, reeling you in to this idea that I can own this property. Well, my husband and I, when we were young, we said, oh yeah, let's do that. Well, let me tell you something. I all of a sudden say, I'm not going to do that because we will never own that. Never. My husband really wanted to do it, but I said, we would never own it. We're just passing through it. We get an opportunity to go there, and it's a timeshare, and it has to be free when they're available and so forth and so on. And then they may black out times. And so for me, I didn't buy it. Whereas we know that it exists because many people can say that they have a timeshare. Okay. Many of us have had, when we were little, we watched encyclopedias come into the house. My folks wanted them for us, but they couldn't afford them. And they would be like relics now for sure, because now everything, Britannica, Encyclopedia, they're all online. They're all online. You don't have to look them up. You can find them through a social media app, So life changes. And so we realize what we used to do, we can certainly change. The incentive is also the carrot and the lure, Now, here's my interesting one. What would you write for Z? Give me an idea of what you guys would write for the Z this morning, because I think that one is funny. It says, if you had the gold ones, you was rich. That's right. That's right. You were rich. Now, come on, Mike. You got that right. Well, zest and zoo. Well, I wrote, zealous, zest, and zoo. Okay. Anybody else before I give you mine? Okay. Anybody? I just said zany. Zany, which means it's whimsical. A lot of times we don't realize how whimsical we are. That's that vicarious living. We say, man, I'm going to make six figures. Man, I'm going to be driving a Lamborghini. Man, we put ourselves in situations from listening to others who say this can be done. I don't believe that everybody's story could ever be the same. So zap, okay, zero. We end up with zero. Oh, that's good, Mike. That's good. That is really good. So I just said zany, meaning it's whimsical, it's comical, and sometimes it's darn right clownish. Plain and simple. Not much to the word zany. It is just that. It's just zany. It says it's also campy, goofy, wacky, and loony. So all of those words sound like they came from Disney this morning, but it's true. That's if you look it up and Merriam-Webster, you'll find it. That's all those words are listed. My last word, yay, for today of our word of rationalize is my E. And for my E, I'm asking people, when you're talking to others, what is the evidence? What is it? Sometimes we listen to people and we've given them money, given them our time, giving them basically a kidney. We're ready to move on out on them. Okay, but we don't have the evidence. We don't ask. We don't worry about it until we realize that we're out of money, out of time, out of patience, out of mind, theirs. We just realize. Erase evidence for me. That's right. Erased evidence. Yes. Some people, they do that. It says evidence is the available body of facts or the information indicating whether to believe it or not as a proposition that is either true or valid or not true. Sometimes we never get there. Sometimes we believe people once we see them, everything they said. I always remember the Music Man and the con artist. He was a good singer, but he was a storyteller. He was basically a liar. And sometimes you meet people like that. Okay, they're writing it in. Extra, extra. Okay, that's true. Sometimes you do need an extra, extra. Read all about it. Ego. Ooh, that's good. That's good. Sometimes you can discontinue a discussion just by asking a question. This is true. Sometimes you mess up somebody's thought pattern because if they think they're convincing you and you ask them a question that makes them go back to, wait a minute, I got to explain this again? Oh, I'm not convincing him or her. That's true. Ever ready. An explanation. Okay. Let's see what else. Emotional. Sometimes we are emotionally caught up in other people and we are emotionally taken away, even though we need to do what Debbie says is make an exit. We need to make an exit. We need to get up out of there. So the evidence is the body and facts or information indicating whether a belief is a proposition that is true or valid or not. And it says that evidence is going to be proof. It's going to have confirmation, verification. I got all these shuns, okay. Substantiation, collaboration, affirmation, authentication, and support. How you get there? How do you get there? Sometimes we cannot get there. Not quickly. Sometimes we have to segue away, figure out where it is, and then come back with them. We can't do it right away. An enigma. Yes, Erica. You talked about enigma the other day. You just have to be like that with some folks, an enigma. Make it where they almost don't exist. Right. When the story doesn't match the history. Yes. When the story ain't storying. Yes, yes, yes. Sometimes their minds get constipated. Oh, come on now. All stuck up. Yes, yes, yes. But anyway, that's my session for today. You guys have been wonderful. This was a longer session than usual, but it is what it is. I truly believe you are hanging in there with me. If you don't do anything else, you don't have to pay any money. If you do, I'm good. I'm good. But you can go ahead and hit that share button and let other people know that there's a Dr. Winnie out here still trying to make myself relevant in keeping people and placing people in a way to make them understand that their talk is their walk, is their stance, is their ability to have conversation with any man or woman, child, or even a baby, to just what I say, continue life the way they want to live it. That's what I think. That's what I hope. That's what I pray. Hit the share button. I'm going to see you on Monday with another word. You all have a great, wonderful, fantastic, enjoyable weekend. Also blessed weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Amen. Okay.